The room, come on in the room. Special edition, special alert. Come on in the room. No game tonight, but in light of what we saw this afternoon, when Shams made his newest story on Giannis and what was transpiring with the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo, we decided to go live here. And I know it's a little impromptu. We have a little bit of warning, but it's somewhat impromptu here. Nope, D. Will, you're not first. Daryl Clayton says so much trade crazy. Almost. Now you ain't got to delete it, but you was close. But come on in the room. What's up? What's up, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight 5851? This will be again. We are live. Across the there. There we go.
My bad. YouTube.
You good? You got it. Oh, okay. Justin will be here in momentarily. Justin will be on the program as well. He had he's traveling, so he's got to get himself back to the hotel. James Moore, come on in the room. Hit that like button before you sit your ass down. I like it. That's a comment James likes to go with recently here. Yeah, a lot to talk about. And I know people will watch this on the replay, so we'll get this thing started here. Dustin Wagner says, "Let's go. Let's go where? I mean, we're here. I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about the what's going on in these reports. But this came out at around 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah, Roger says he was the one who suggested the Crimson crossover. Raj, was it Raj P? Raj P says, I'm gonna let you know a little story, Raj. We already decided we were gonna do it, but then you tweeted and said, "Should you do it?" So I thought it was be funny to be like, "Yeah, I think we should." But it was good idea. We were already gonna do it though, but I like it. King of Kings, King's he's usually not here live. He's usually watching on the back end a lot of times. So I'm good to see him. He says, "I told y'all Giannis is out. Better for both parties." We'll talk about it. All right, let's get it started. We got a few people in the room. Again, I think a couple things obviously you can get us on the Twitter at because we're on Twitter as well at TCIIYEE in the chat as well here. And I think this will again we'll give some of our thoughts, but some of this will be you guys that kind of get to direct some of this as well. With here we go, great minds think alike, Raj. That I agree with. But some of this is going to be led by you guys. If you have questions, if you have ideas, trade ideas, thought process, like what are you thinking? So this will be led a little bit by you guys after we get some initial thoughts here. But it started at 11:30 today, Chris, where you get the story from Shams Charania. He says the ESPN story on Milwaukee Bucks. This is the tweet. Starting to listen. No. Which one was not? This is the one. This is the one. The first one was
Giannis is okay.
There we go. Yeah, this is the one. At 11:20 a.m. Excuse me. He says 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is, and listen to the wording of this, is ready for a new home at the February 5th NBA trade deadline or in the offseason as several rival teams make aggressive offers to the Milwaukee Bucks for him, and the franchise is starting to listen. League sources tell ESPN. What up, Matthew Adler? First things first, I just want to break down the tweet that comes from Shams, because again, and I know people in Twitter they call it, "Oh, you're coping, you're in denial," all that kind. I'm not in denial. I'm not coping. But Chris, you have to admit, this is not like, such and such has requested a trade. This person, he says, I mean, it's worded. I mean, you almost have to, it's almost like he went in Chat GPT and was like, give me another word. How can I say this differently? He says Giannis is ready for a new home. Then he hedges It says at the trade deadline or in the offseason. And then he says something that's also interesting too. He says Rodgers needs to make an aggressive offers. He says the franchise is starting to listen. But again, I'm not disputing some of the stuff Shams talks about. But Chris, didn't he tell us that the Bucks were listening to an offer from New York back in May? So what do you mean they're starting to? Again, I'm not doubting that he's hearing things. I'm just saying it is odd when the first things first. It's odd when you tell us it's gonna be the biggest trades in history before the season starts. Nothing happens. As a matter of fact, probably the biggest thing that happened was the Bucks waived and stretched Damian Lillard and brought in Miles Turner, and then you said, okay, what's gonna happen right before the season doesn't happen, and then you come back and you say, well, actually, the beginning of December 3rd, Shams says they'll figure this out in a couple weeks. That they will come to a resolution in a couple weeks, and now we are at the end of January, so a couple weeks turned into 9. And now we're at the end of January. We're at the end of January, and you're back at he's ready for a new home. Weird at the deadline or in the offseason. I mean, listen. Whether you're called denial, cope, Chris, is it? Am I wrong here, or is this a weirdly tweet way to word whatever Shams has given here?
No, you're not crazy. And to be quite honest, when the tweet came out and it was sent in our group chat, it was like I immediately call out the wording. I'm like, is ready to be traded. And that's some of the, like, when you say he's hedging, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what he's doing, because he knows that the value on Giannis right now is not what it once was when he's healthy. Right? Like he's hurt. Nobody knows the timetable. The timetable has not been officially declared. And so he's essentially stating his case for, okay, if it doesn't happen within this next week, then it could happen in the summer. And it just goes to show that this has been a complete operation by Shams for the last, I don't know when the last time was. I know you pulled up a tweet from maybe 2019 from Shams. Yeah. And it's just continued to keep going. And that's why I thought this whole thing was just completely unbelievable, that was the wording. That was the tweet that came out today. And then contrary to what Shams says, you have Chris Haynes who comes out there and says, no, Giannis has not requested a trade. And that's not what Shams said. He didn't say that Giannis requested a trade, but certainly made it sound like it was inevitable that he's going to be leaving the Bucks. And Chris Haynes seems to have the opposite belief.
Well, it's a great point. You take us there first, Chris. I agree. What Shams did a thing where, like, you know what you're doing. You're trying to say something without saying it, and that's why he worded it that way. But he knew that people would take it as Giannis has requested a trade. And I think then the funny part, but this is where the questions start to come up. Where how much of Giannis do you believe versus like what do you believe? Because Chris Haynes says Giannis hasn't requested a trade, but I go right back to Giannis in his press conference, and some of his post game pressers has said, I can't control what my agent does. So this gives you and it doesn't work at all, but it's the plausible deniability where Giannis can say, I didn't request a trade. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. I can't control what my agent does. Where is your agent doing this talking? Is your agent having these discussions? Is your agent making his feelings known or your feelings known? And you get to sit back and go to Chris Haynes and say, look, Giannis, didn't do it. And again, I think that's a little disingenuous. And it's funny because Giannis, to me, let the cat out the bag with the way he answered these press conferences, because I didn't really think that that's what was happening, but he basically said it. He basically said, my agent may be having discussions with the organization that I may pretend like I don't know about, and I think it's very weak. And again, I love Giannis to death, or as Dion would say, love you to life, but love him. Hell of a player, best player in franchise history, but he does some hedging and tries to play both sides of the fence as well. So I get what you're saying. Chris Haynes does come out and say that, but I don't think that I think Giannis, has done his fair share to say, listen, just because I may not have done it, my agent is likely working in the background. And oh, by the way, Chris, the other thing that happened, and again, depends on how much credence you give this. Did you hear the story about Rich Paul potentially trying to take Giannis as a client away from Alex Sarasius? I think that's how you say his name.
Right.
Which again, maybe that's the reason that Giannis comes back. Excuse me, that his agent goes, oh, if Rich Paul is poking around and he says, hey, I can get you traded. He can't get you out of here. I can do it. Maybe at that point, you got Alex Ross said, okay, I got to up this one more time. Let's go to Super Chat. I think let me know when we get Justin in. I see him on our screen. Let me know when we get him into YouTube. Dustin Wagner, Super Chat, says, after Haynes said Giannis did not request a trade, he instantly followed it up with possible suitors for Giannis. It's all a bunch of media fluff and posturing trying to save face for Giannis. I agree, Dustin. I 100% agree with you that, because this I can tell you for a fact. And again, I told you before, which we'll talk about. Somebody else said Raj P wanted to talk about Boss Man, your boy Jay Crowder, which is something that I was plugged in for and tried to tell y'all about. And I'm glad Jay Crowder came and set the record straight about the Adrian Griffin stuff today as well. But and basically backed up things I've been saying for 2 years. But I thought it was it's very interesting when you look at in the totality of the entire situation with Giannis. Again, it's a hedge. I don't know where he's going. And you do have this, we talk about posturing. You have them. He does have, obviously, Chris Haynes is a mouthpiece and is trying to massage this and smooth it over. And I told you earlier, Justin, on the phone, this is the question that I wanted to understand. Is this a grease fire? Is this a fire that you can put out? And again, if you believe Shams has been telling you Giannis has won out since 2019, is this a grease fire that you can put out, or is this a 4-alarm fire where the house is now burning down and you've got to get out and you've got to make a decision? And if you're to believe this report from Shams, that's where we are right now. It's a 4-alarm fire. The house is burning down. You've got to, as far as you got to get all the assets that you can out of this house and try to look to rebuild and start over.
We got Justin now, so if you want to go ahead, Justin, if you
all right,
want to give your
hey man, I'm at a state of confusion right now. You got half the dudes, this dude Shams telling everybody that Giannis wants to be out. He says a bunch of nothing. To me, he's just kind of regurgitating the same thing that he said 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago. I think Bart Winkler mentioned it on Twitter. Hey, man, this is a guy that's tweeted the same thing for 10 years straight, and eventually he's going to be right. That broken clock is right at least 2 times a day, and that's what I think Shams is. Hey, man, you know me. I'm going to hope Giannis never leaves. I hope he retires a Buck, but I hope we get him to start playing higher and better basketball at the level we all expect. Unfortunately, injuries have derailed his career, but I take it with a grain of salt until I hear that man say anything else other than I want to retire Milwaukee Buck. I know he's trying to be coy. He's trying to do all that other stuff. He's not good at it. But what he is good at, I think, is being authentic. Every time we thought that there was a chance that he was going to be gone, he stayed put. So I'm just hoping and praying he stays put again because, Lord have mercy, man, I'm getting too old. I don't know how many years I got left. This is going to take years off my life. Every time I see a breaking report from Shams and I see a Milwaukee Bucks logo come in, I feel like, damn, that just took 5 more off. So I'm about down to about 48 and a half lives yet dealing with this fool.
It was funny because you talk about Bart Winkler, but Bart had a tweet, and it would talk about this too, Justin, where if Shams had not dropped, breadcrumbs all throughout the year, he could have crushed with this news. This news that he could have If he dropped this today out of basically nowhere, would have been one of the biggest stories. Everybody would have been going crazy. But I think everybody's calmed down. They're like, oh, this is more of the same. Now, I will ask you guys this question. Okay, so and Justin, I know Justin, let's to the chat. Justin's going to, throughout for the theme of this, till we get out of here, Justin's going to essentially reiterate that he thinks Giannis is going to remain a Buck. But let's operate as if the Bucks are under this impression that they're not going to be able to re-sign him in October. Before we get to trade stuff, I want to ask you guys: does this, if you know you have to do it, you've got to get rid of? That's where you're at. Is it pre-deadline? Are you doing this in 8 days, or is this a summertime thing? I know Todd came and said Todd Merrill says the only guy he's interested in is Jalen Johnson. He also said that he thinks he's going to take an extra team to make this happen. I think we also there's reports out the Hornets are very interested in. They've basically been waving their hands up and saying, hey, if you need us to grease the wheels, if you need us to help facilitate things, we got some assets that we can kind of play around with. And if you want some guys, we can make trades happen. Again, it is going to be tough to happen in 8 days. But Chris, Justin, is this a thing that's going to happen in the next 8 days, or is this a thing that's going to have to wait until the summer? Now, I will say this, and Justin, we talked about last thing I say before I let you go. I will say this: if for whatever reason, Giannis is not traded in the summer, and he remains a Milwaukee Buck once the season starts. If he doesn't get traded at this point, I don't think it's ever happened. I think he will retire in Milwaukee. If you make it past this hump, I don't think you're ever going to have these questions come up again. He's got to ride with. But that's another story. 8 days or in the summer before next season. Chris?
Yeah, I think to me, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I try to hold on to this thing and just see in the summer when obviously, standings have been finalized and you see the lottery and you see all that stuff. I think from the Milwaukee Bucks point of view and their perspective, you'd much rather get rid of him in the summer where you understand exactly what you're getting with some of these picks. Because you never know what you give away could end up biting you in the butt later on during the year, and a team that you get their pick, they might have a better second half of the year, and then it's a lower pick. So to me, I think that's where you're looking, is to at least hold on to him, shut him down. And if you guys got a tank, you got a tank. And if that's like, you see all the reports and it says that, the writing's on the wall, the Bucks locker room is, affected by this, impacted by this. Well, that's where I think there may be a little bit of urgency to maybe get rid of him in 8 days. But again, I think your best bet is to probably part ways in the offseason where you know what you're getting.
It's gonna hurt me to say this. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna wait to the summer too, because I don't need to do any extra favors for you. Why? The only thing that I gained by trading you before the trade deadline is now you can sign a supermax with someone else, and you can go and let their jersey sales go through the roof and all that. Hey, sorry, man, I'm that petty ex. If you were once you're doing great with me, that's awesome. When you go to someone else, I want you to do terrible. I want you to do bad. If you one of my exes, you already know how I feel. The house is on fire. Your house is on fire. I'm not pissing on it. And I'm not going to piss on Giannis' house if he go to another team either. Now, once we calm down and he come back to the Bucks, we can take a deep breath and realize what he did and all that. But right now in this moment, I wait until the summer. I make sure, because this is the biggest modern day trade in Bucks history. And it cannot be rushed in 8 days. Now, maybe John Horst and those guys have been having conversations that we don't know about. And this stuff has been matriculating since October. Maybe it has been. Maybe Shams is actually right. I hope not. But right now, I trade you in the summer. I get the best possible package, and we see what happens there. I think that if you stay to the summer and these guys don't get it going and stuff like that, and you do get a lottery pick, that may be even more of a reason to sign that supermax and stay here, though, because then we're your only option to sign a supermax. So the longer this goes, I think it's better in favor for the Bucks. The hard part for Bucks fans, for folks that want Giannis here, not the folks that want him traded, is it's more anguish and it's more debate from the four-letter network, from this guy, that guy on Twitter. Everybody's going to have their trade scenarios and all that stuff. I'm just going to be patient and wait it out, bro. But no favors for you once you leave. I'm sorry.
I agree. I don't think there's any favors for you while you're here. Like I think you were mentioning the fact, and somebody in the chat correct me or make it make sense. So the Bucks can offer 4 years, 275, whatever it is, October 1. But you have to be with the team for 6 months to do that. So the only way he could do that is the only way he can get that Supermax is to be traded at the deadline. Now, how important is that to him? I don't know. But maybe for that reason alone, I'm not giving you again, and I know people, I've seen Stephen A say it, and other people in the media say it, and other people in general say but you owe Giannis everything. No, you don't. No, you don't. He gave you a championship. Sure, he absolutely did. He delivered a championship, and he was paid handsomely for it. And we allow, and he thought, you know what we gave him? We gave him the ability to go play in Greece. We gave him the ability to go do all those things. We got the Milwaukee Bucks were the ones who were able to get Drew Holiday, who were able to acquire PJ Tucker to help with that run, who brought in Mike Budenholzer to help with that run and get a championship. So I get it. Yes, Giannis did a lot for the franchise, but the franchise did a lot for Giannis. They taught him how to drive. They taught him a lot of things that he knows. So all I'm saying is, if you want to leave, no, I don't think I don't think we have to rush a trade before the deadline. And Tom is pretty sure he gets traded before the deadline. Yeah, no, if he isn't traded, he still won't play this season. But that's fine. I don't know why that matters to the Bucks. But if I'm the Bucks, I don't feel the need to save him because I think he'd get $50 million left. Basically, if he doesn't trade before the deadline, it's almost like it's a $50 million haircut that he's taking long term to do that. I don't think you owe him that at all. If you don't want to fulfill if you don't want to fulfill your obligations to your contract, I don't know why we have to rush a trade to make sure he doesn't get to make sure he gets his $50 million. Absolutely not. You want all your money, you come sign with us in October. Dustin Wagner, another super chat, says, I do not want him traded, but I feel like it's time. Bucks want multiple 2026 ones, and you have to make trades by the 5th to have control of those picks since draft day trades are under 2025-26 rules. Now that's something you're telling me that and again, this is something I don't know. Are you telling me that if the Bucks don't trade if the Bucks don't make a trade, they can't? Are you telling me they can't? No, that can't be true. Are you telling me that if they trade this summer, because you can have a pre-draft trade, why couldn't you have a pre-draft trade and the pick not? I don't know. Is that true? You can't trade. You're telling me that you can't make a pre-draft trade? You could trade during the draft. Yeah, I don't know.
Ray Allen was a draft day trade.
But he's saying the draft is before the new league year. What are you talking about? But I know you can make trades up to the draft though. So I don't think that I don't know this.
I think what happens with those trades, what he might be referring to is like, that's why you see those guys and they still come out with the hat on and stuff like that, because they're not fully vetted until the new league year starts, but they're still agreed upon because we saw trades during the draft last year.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, those are agreed. Okay, yeah. Are you saying maybe that's the hang up, that those are agreed upon trades? Because no, because yeah, it's like when New Orleans, like if you own the pick, right? When like that New Orleans, let's say we finish with a worse record than New Orleans want to take that pick. That guy would come out with the Milwaukee Bucks draft hat on, and that we would all know that pick just goes to New Orleans. I know that's how that would work. King of Kings says y'all sound like a scorned woman. Maybe. I mean, I disagree with that. I just don't think that the Bucks owe Giannis. Let me say, what John Horst. Here's another question: is do you allow John Horst to make these selections as far as what's happening? Because again, we talked about this last night. John Horst isn't it. Whatever picks you get, I would think John Horst is not going to be here to see through this entire rebuild. So why would you allow him to be the one again, unless they've already made a decision that they're okay, that they're okay extending him. Dustin Wagner, another super says it's extremely hard to get several teams in the same deal on draft night because you're still in the 25, 26 cap rules. Nobody has more picks to offer until after the draft. Okay, yeah, you're talking. I see what you're talking about. You're talking about the future first, past that you'd have that extra first that you'd be able to use. I see where you're going with that. But I guess in theory you could still do that after if there was a player that is picked that you want. 2023 first cannot be traded until after July 1st. Okay, I see what you're saying, which will come after the draft. But I guess what you could do is I guess you could make that when you say summer. I guess you could also make that trade after the draft's been completed, and you can make that determination on what player you want. Let me ask you guys this though, as we keep going here, if there compensation for Giannis, what do you guys want? And I anybody in chat, if you want to throw down with some trade ideas that you guys have seen. That you guys like, that you don't like what does comp look like, and is it different before February 5th versus after? Do you want? And we saw that apparently Sham said that the Bucks want young blue chip players and or picks, right? Is that what you should be looking for? I heard something about like potential, like look at the Warriors package, which apparently is like was it Kuminga and Jimmy Butler and like those are older all-stars. Now what they do have is a bevy of picks after, like that's from a pick perspective, that would be you taking basically guys that you don't want anymore, brushing them to the side whenever their deal's in, and then you're hoping that in the future Giannis, you're open for a very old school, an older Golden State Warriors team that's basically going to fizzle out, and you're going to get a very good pick from that. Is that something that interests you, or do you want the better players? Your Jalen Johnsons. You look at Houston. You're maybe a Sengun, maybe Thompson if you can get that. You look at the Miami Heat, a Khalil Ware, a really good player. How much do you like Tyler Hero? Those like who are some names? You look at Toronto, who they say may be in on this with and now they said they're not going. I thought it was crazy when they were like, oh, we're not going to give up Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram. So what the hell are you doing? All right, then sit your ass in 5th or 6th and enjoy the rest of the season, whatever the hell you got going on. But I was thinking it's funny because I saw Bill Simmons talking, and it's so crazy. These guys have been begging for a Giannis trade for years. They've been begging for a trade, and finally, here it is. You're at the precipice. You have your opportunity to put whatever. The Knicks did it too. Monitor, and then this summer you get the opportunity. Here it is. Giannis is available. Send us your offer. I think we want to keep our team together. You get cold feet. I mean, it's like, listen. Well, I mean, you ever. you ever think you about to get with the chick and it ain't operating down there before? You ever had that problem? You ever had a problem when you think you it's about to get and it just, man, damn, what happened to me today? What and you having a pep talk? That's what these teams are doing. These teams are looking. They're like, here we are, booty tooted, and you scared. You scared in the room. That's what's happening right now. Now nobody got picks to give up. Now, you know what? I actually like Brandon Ingram. I like Scotty, but I like Scotty Barnes a lot. I like I can't. You want me to give up Evan Mobley? Oh no, I can't give up Evan Mobley. No, Chet. No, not Chet. I gotta keep Chet. That I'm at like it's here. Now you got to put out. And now all of a sudden like Bill Simmons. I don't know. He has injury. Then you start talking about all the injury history and the calf issues and all. You've been begging for this guy. We're here. What are you waiting on?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring that up too, because it's like that's why I would want it to happen in the summer, because you've got teams that reports coming out on teams. It's like, oh, actually, we wouldn't be interested in Giannis, like for example, the Spurs, and it's like, okay,
Spurs,
you may not be interested in Giannis now, but what happens if the OKC Thunder sweep your ass or something like that, and then you're sitting there stuck. You're stuck because you can't get over the hump in the West, the loaded West. And maybe that starts to go down, and you start to say, hey, all right, Steph Castle, how about that? Like, that's what waiting till the summer will open up for the Bucks, I think. But yeah, when you look at players that may be on the table, I think certainly Jalen Johnson is a big name, especially amongst Bucks fans, because he is from Wisconsin. So like that I think is a good option, but it definitely has to be an accumulation of a player that can make an impact right away and draft compensation. I can't settle for less than that. There's no reason I want Jimmy Butler off of a torn ACL, even if we're doing that for contract money purposes, whatever, or a Jonathan Kuminga at that point. I just don't see him as at all like the guy or a second option or maybe even a third option, because that really hasn't worked out with Golden State that way either. I'm not sure. He was probably on that team when they won it, but it was like Andrew Wiggins that was their third option guy there. So yeah, I think you're looking at, those packages where you see guys that could impact winning maybe right away. I'm not saying they would get to the playoffs, not saying they would even sniff remotely close, but a player that is reliable, a player that the fans will gravitate towards, and then some draft compensation to build around that.
Everything I've seen, I just haven't seen enough. Like that stuff, like I understand Jalen Johnson. The kid's doing everything. He is. He's a phenomenal basketball player right now, and his upside is tremendous. For me, it's not enough for a game changer, a potential put this guy on your roster, and you're potentially in a championship. You looked at the haul that they got for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in the day. A lot of those guys are good basketball players. Some of those numbers are retired. Junior Bridgman, Brian Winters, etc. I don't think that was enough for him. He's a generational talent. He's an icon. He's like the Undertaker. He's a phenom of basketball. I don't give a damn how many picks you give me. I'm gonna feel like it's never gonna be enough. This guy has transcended the culture in Milwaukee, not just basketball, but the entire culture. I did see one thing that I looked at that I was like, and I don't know how much credibility this person had or anything like that, but it was a trade with Boston, and it was Jason Tatum and pair Giannis up with Jaylen Brown. I think maybe you cooking with a little bit of something if you get Jason Tatum. If I'm trading a top 5 player in the NBA, top 3, top 2 in my opinion, and I'm biased, top 1, but I ain't on here to be your Stephen A and give you all this analytical stuff and all that stuff. I'm here just to be a damn fan of the Milwaukee Bucks. So when you listen to this and you get mad at me, you tell me I'm delusional. No, I ain't no analyst. I'm a damn fan first, and that's what I'm going to give you. So it got to be Tatum because he's a top 10 player in the league when he's healthy. And if you're not giving me a top 10 player back for it that could potentially migrate up to a top 5, it's not enough for me, and it never will be enough. But some of those packages are good, and some of these kids in college may be top 5, top 3. Hey, man, my hardness, I'm tied to it. What'd you say earlier? Dude said we sound like scoring women. No, dog, we don't sound like a scoring woman. You're not a Bucks fan, so it's easy for you to say that.
Well, and to your point, I think it's easy for a lot of people in the media to do that too, to have that conversation about Giannis, because they don't. It's easy for Stephen A. It's easy for Shams. It's easy for Windhorse. It's easy. I heard Vernon Maxwell and Vernon Maxwell. Come on, dog. Vernon, you sound like an idiot. But
What'd he say?
He was like, man, I fuck Milwaukee. I don't give a fuck about Milwaukee. Man, they can fuck Milwaukee. They done did Giannis bad, man. Fuck Milwaukee. I can't give a damn about it. I used to like a soul food restaurant. Shut up. But come on, yeah. But again, that's what you say when trade Giannis. You owe it to him to trade. That's what you say. Stephen A. He only want to come to Milwaukee So so when he makes those comments that it's the best thing for the Bucks, you don't care about the best thing for the Bucks. So don't give me that it's in the Bucks' best. You don't have the Bucks' best interest at heart. I saw now Boston Jason Tatum is an interesting one. I just don't know what he's gonna come back from with his Achilles. I think that's gonna be interesting. I think he is gonna come back this year, so we'll see what ends up happening. But I guess I think I would still want something else from Boston. Like it wouldn't be like a one. Like Giannis is a better player, so you still got to give me. You got to find something else to make that work. By the way, listen, if your name is Antetokounmpo, your ass is gone when Giannis go. Like you are off the payroll, off the books. I don't want to see you close up that damn shop y'all got, the store, ship that wherever the hell. Hey, it can come whenever you retire, it can bring it back. But the store can go. Everything about it can go. But I don't see Boston doing it. Here's the other thing though that I want to take it to Giannis for a second and think about from him, where his whole thing is I want to win. Do you guys think that if he doesn't win immediately when he leaves, is he going to be looked at a little differently? Because at least in Milwaukee, if you continue losing, nobody says anything bad about Dirk Nowitzki. Now, I've never heard anybody say nothing bad, not a bad word about Dirk. When LeBron first went to Miami and they lost, people gave Bron a lot of flack. If Giannis goes somewhere else and loses, and again, your whole point is I had to leave Milwaukee because I couldn't win there. Well, you got 2 years. And if you don't win, is it not fair to start looking and saying, maybe you was the reason they was losing? Because your ass, you ain't winning here either. I'm just saying, my other question is, just like Kevin Durant, I just don't feel like Giannis is never going to get the validation he's looking for unless he goes to a place that, like, unless you go like Orlando or Cleveland or something like that. If you go to Golden State, they're going to treat you just like they treated KD. He could be the best player. It's Steph's team. If you go to New York, Giannis will be the best player in New York. I believe it's going to be Brunson's team. It's still going to be Brunson's team. Now, maybe that's different in Miami. But again, Miami, they really don't even care about basketball like that. They'll care while you're there, and then that'll be it. So I don't even think they really give a damn. They only care when you win it. Again, it's just I just wonder, is he gonna feel the love wherever he goes, and is it gonna be enough, especially if he's not winning? And I know King of Kings says Giannis already won a chip, but again, I agreed. But this is now you're leaving and going somewhere else. You're now saying, and James, that's crazy. He says New York will swallow him alive. It's crazy. But I guess that's my question there, just a Giannis question. How does that look, right? Again, Jesus says Giannis only cares about winning. That's great. But if you don't win, how bad? My question is, how bad does that looks? If you leave and go somewhere else and you don't win there, how bad does that look? Like, again, I think to me, I think it'd be fair game. You got to kill. I mean, from a media standpoint, from a ranking standpoint, you got to kill him. Like, you're going down because you told everybody you couldn't win here, and then you left somewhere else and you couldn't win there. So I will say I believe it's going to be a very, very, very bad look if he can't win elsewhere.
Oh, it will be, and that should be 100% a concern for whatever team he lands on, because realistically, like with another superstar, and assuming that he'll be with another superstar, unless you're going to fit the team and build the team around him, how easy is it for him to fit with another guy that's a ball-dominant player, that's a ball-dominant star? Because we've seen it happen with Damian Lillard. That didn't work out, right? If you go to a team that has a Jalen Brunson, how's that going to work? Is that gonna just automatically be better when he goes to New York and Jalen Brunson has the ball in his hands, just like a Damian Lillard would? I can't say that. I can't say that if he was to go to I don't know, wherever else. Minnesota and Anthony Edwards, how does that look like? You know, with another guy that's going to always want to get up 25 shots a night, 27 shots a night, like that's 100% on the table for it to actually end even worse than it could in Milwaukee, only due to the fact that Milwaukee fans and Bucks fans alike will be content with one championship. Now, I'm not saying that as we don't want to win more and we didn't want to win more while he was here, but if he only has one, I mean, I would still say, you know, along the lines of Dirk Nowitzki, like that's a successful tenure. But if he goes somewhere else, he's way more susceptible to criticism. And I'm also not sure how it works out with a team that has another all-star that is ball dominant.
Saw a great thing today, a little off topic, in the Freddie Peralta trade to the New York Mets. And they're talking about the two kids that came back from the Mets, right? And one of the keys that they brought up as a success for those kids is they do not have to face that New York media. That New York media is ruthless. That Philadelphia media is ruthless. You go to some of these other places, you're not going to have just an Eric name who's going to throw you the softballs all the time and the easy questions where you're not going to be pushed. You're going to be pushed, and when you go 3 from 10 from the free throw line, we're not going to be like, all right, well, we're going to get them back the next game and come back and do that stuff. You're going to get lambasted in the media. You thought it was bad with Bucks fans booing you? We just saw the Knicks fans doing it the other night to them. And this isn't the first time we saw it. Philadelphia booed Santa Claus. You got all these different teams out here who are doing all this stuff that face a scrutiny in the media, and he's never had to face that in his career. You've had a bunch of loyalty in his DNA, the same way it's in his DNA. It's in a lot of these Bucks fans. And I ain't talking to you people that are just Giannis fans that when Giannis leaves, you're going to go root for him. And that's your right to do that. But it's a lot of people in that city of Milwaukee that love that man for what he's done for the city. But this, and like you mentioned earlier, what they did for him. A lot of pressure. And then like you two gentlemen just mentioned, you're playing on someone else's team and you're coming up short. It's a whole lot different than coming up on your own team. You know another dude who's never talked about in a derogatory fashion, and I know he's gone and rest in peace? Kobe Bryant. Kobe stayed. He was steadfast in L.A., nowhere else. I don't hear a lot of bad stuff about John Stockton either. Another guy stayed put where he was. You stay where you are, I think you get a little bit of credence and stuff like that. There's no grace for jumping ship and going and not being a super team and not winning it. You never hear any great things said about Charles Barkley from leaving and going to Phoenix and then leaving and going to Houston and coming up short.
Yeah, no, the valid there. Barkley never won one, which kind of killed, which hurts his argument. Giannis did. Again, KG left, and KG did win a title in Boston. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I guess again, the way I feel, and I tell you all the time, right? G Sosa, Kobe asked for trade, didn't get it. The way I will always feel, and I said it before, I've talked about this before. Again, will my feelings ever change about Giannis? No, if he leaves. But again, do I want him to win? I would love nothing more than for Giannis never to win another championship in his career. I just personally couldn't root for it. Again, I hope he puts up great numbers. I hope he has a great time. But I personally don't want him to win another championship ever again. I told you I'm a Panthers fan, so I never talk about it because it's not really the same, but it brings me great joy. Every year the 49ers get eliminated and Christian McCaffrey don't win a title. Every year. And I don't feel no way. I'm just glad he don't have one. You want with us? I don't want you to have one. And so that's what I like. All right, let me get through a couple of these packages that you're looking at here. And that's the other thing. I would just hate Miami. You look at Miami, their pack, what they're looking at, Hero, Jaquez, Khalil Ware. Then they have picks 2030, 2032, first plus swaps. Is that enough? Would you need more picks in a deal with Miami? I don't even know what all picks they have to offer. I also, again, Bam Adebayo. I mean, I guess Miami probably wouldn't do it without getting Bam. But that's probably what it would have to be. Like you said, we talked about Golden State, Jimmy, Kuminga, guessing pods. They would have a lot of picks. They would have at least 4 first-round picks that Golden State could do. That's your prioritizing the picks. I just don't think the Knicks have. I don't think the Knicks have a package. I do not see a viable way the New York Knicks get Giannis, especially pre-deadline. I don't see a way in hell the New York Knicks can get Giannis pre-deadline with Karl Anthony Towns. I don't even know where else they're trying to go. Would you putting Mikal Bridges in this? I don't know. They just don't have enough picks. I just don't think they have enough picks. And then I've seen some people talk about Todd Merrill's here talking about the Thunder. The Thunder, right? That's another team. There's no way in hell the Thunder are trading before February the 8th. They're the number one team in the league. They're the number one team in the league. And they just came off a championship. Why would they gut their team for Giannis? The Spurs have already said they're not going to do it. Atlanta, you'd love the Jalen Johnson thing, but I don't think they're going to come off Jalen. Now, if Atlanta were to come off Jalen Johnson, that's something that I would be all ears for. I'd be all ears for. They're not doing that. I see some people talk about Portland. I don't think that gets Giannis anywhere close. Now, again, the difference with Portland is Portland can get you your picks back. I just don't see the Bucks. I just don't see where that helps Giannis at all. Then there's Toronto who's not giving. I just don't. Again, I'm just trying to figure out a way. So I'm just talking it through in my head. The only way to me that the Bucks trade Giannis pre-deadline is the Heat probably have the only package, and I wouldn't personally do it, but it depends on how much you really like Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware. Those are players that you may like, and can somebody facilitate another pick here or there? I don't. Again, I see somebody say the Rockets and the Spurs. Rockets are interested with Şengün. Rockets interested, but I don't think they come off of Thompson. So to me, that would be no brainer. And the Spurs, I think the Spurs are inclined to try to run it one time with their group, and then I can see them in the offseason. I can see if they fall flat, if they get knocked out in 5 to OKC, then I can see the Spurs being like, okay, let's do this. But I think that's another one's gonna have to wait till the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think like whatever the Bucks do here, if they make this decision in 8 days, they have to understand that it is very important who they get back that's an active player right now, because that ultimately just gives you the ability to not have to all the way rely on every single pick that you get back to hit, right? Like if you can get a Jalen Johnson, then that would be awesome, and then you go and that leaves a little more margin of error to miss out on maybe one draft pick, right? But I don't see that these teams have the correct package that Giannis would go for in the Milwaukee Bucks' eyes. Like I don't think a lot of them do, and I'm really not that intrigued in even the Heat package, because I don't think I would want Tyler Hero, and I don't think I would want Jaquez as cornerstone pieces in a trade with Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Like
Ware is Ware a cornerstone piece for that?
I think he is, but I think the collection as a whole of those three players, it just doesn't really move the needle for me as much as to who I want to restart with, who I want to rebuild with.
I think one thing, and we talked about this before, to kind of pay a little bit of homage to Karan Butler from Racine, Wisconsin, talked about his 1 year playing in Milwaukee, about how difficult it is to play in your hometown. The different type of pressures that you have. It's just a unique type of thing. And you look at Jalen Johnson, you look at Tyler Hero, both of those gentlemen would be faced with that. So just from that standpoint alone, you see a lot of guys kind of retract back. I mean, unless you're like an icon like LeBron, he basically played in his hometown. But I can't think of a lot of guys who have played in their actual hometown with those pressures amongst your fans and your friends and your family, and who have thrived well. I mean, I'm sure there's a few out there in the chat to let us know and all that stuff, but that's what I was saying, man. With those packages, I just don't see enough that makes me want to do it. And I don't want Ware. I want Adebayo if I'm making that trade with Miami. I need your best. I'm not leaving you with any scrums of anything to go out and push a championship. And if you want to send them to Portland, if you really think that that's going to really push the needle forward, Okay. You go out there and try it if you want to. I mean, the one good thing about Portland, if he went out there, he would have pretty much the same media that he has in Milwaukee, maybe give or take a little less. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. MW Ballers is right, D Rose. I did forget about D Rose.
Yeah. James Moore says, what do you think about making a deal with Cleveland? Again, the center, the cornerstone for that would be Evan Mobley. I don't see Cleveland wanting to part with Evan Mobley. I also don't think Evan Mobley is I don't think Evan Mobley is good enough to be anything in replacement. So I need a lot back from Cleveland. I don't know what kind of picks they have or that they're able to provide as well. But yeah, I don't see it. Solomon Jules says, you trade him to Portland, the Blazers will talk shit about Giannis like the Bucks fans talk shit about, I guess, I mean, the Bucks are talking about Dame, except what we said about Dame was true. Well, again, but that might be true, Solomon. But here's the thing: at that point, I don't care if Giannis isn't in Milwaukee. I don't care what other fans say about it. That's fine. that's absolutely fine. Amarita Taylor says, I'm glad Giannis requested a trade. Again, I don't know. Did he request a trade? Did his agent do it? I don't know. Man, that was a terrible move by LeBron. But yeah, I don't know that he has not actually requested a trade. But I don't know. We may just be playing with semantics and wording there. I'm trying to think. And again, we still have a week and a half to jump on this and talk about it. And make sense of what we're seeing. And I'm sure we'll see reports every single day. Again, if I'm reading the tea leaves, I just do not think Giannis gets traded before the deadline. Todd keeps talking about how, the Thunder don't have to come up off of they don't have to gut their team. And here's the thing, Todd, I keep trying to tell you, it takes two to tango. So just because you don't think they have to gut, I'm telling you, if I'm the Bucks, I'm going to make you. You're not about to get out of a trade with all those good players, and then nothing, and then we get nothing but picks and what's the big dude? What's the big man?
Hartenstein.
Yeah, come on, man, come on. I don't think. Again, I think the Bucks were. That's the other thing about these trades. Again, you're never gonna win a trade when you're the one. Whoever gets Giannis is the one winning the trade. You're not going to win the trade in the court of public opinion and probably in general. You're not gonna win the trade. So you're just trying to get as much as you can, but you can't fall flat. Like even like with Dallas trading Luka, you're not gonna win the trade, but you can't fall flat on your face and get AD, right? You can't get nothing, and so that would be trading Giannis for picks. I mean, again, I just don't see that there, and you got to give me something.
Right, and then also with the Thunder, just exactly like you say, like the guys that we're going to be asking for are the guys that are leading them to where they're at right now. Maybe not the head of the pack, right? And SGA and
Chet's got to come.
Yeah, like there's got to be those guys that make that team what it is around the margins. Those guys are coming here if we want to give Giannis to them.
Yeah. It's not going to be. It's just not going to be filler.
We're not getting Isaiah Joe only,
yeah.
Freaking I don't know whoever else, Brooks Barnheiser. Like we're actually going after their guys.
Right, because he's the best player of his generation.
James Moore says, "Let's talk about Memphis. What do you guys think there? About what? I don't think are you saying send Giannis to Memphis, or are you just talking about trying to trade for Ja Morant? I'm not sure. What do you mean about? I don't see anything in Memphis that I would want, especially not to give up for Giannis. Yeah, So again, this will be ongoing. We'll see if things get clearer. Right now, again, the only thing I can see is really Miami. But again, I'd hate to send him to Miami, but just because he'd be in the East. But we'll see kind of how this thing continues to progress. Whether Shams gets to live another day and get this thing rolling in February, or if it goes out through the off season, we'll be here with you every step of the way. Did want to get one more thing addressed before we go. The thing with Jay Crowder. where Jay Crowder comes out, and I could pull it up, but Jay Crowder says let me find it. He's CJ C9 boss said he goes back and quote tweets the Woj tweet breaking that the Bucks have dismissed Adrian Griffin. And Jay Crowder says, we were 30-13, by the way, to bring in Doc. This is what started the avalanche. He then followed that up because there was a tweet from someone else that said, you guys were dancing like crazy the first game after he was fired. He goes all caps again. I think his tweet's a lot in all caps, but he says, we wasn't dancing because he got fired. We danced to try to shake the vibes in a positive light because we were all blindsided and had a game to play without a head coach. What were we supposed to do? Be sad on the court and get blown out? That was Jay Crowder. And again, just goes to show you again, because I saw somebody say, oh, you ain't locked in, tapped in. Again, I never claim to be plugged in with certain things. I will tell you when I'm plugged in on certain situations. And that is why I've never, like when I've been talking shit about Shams, it's again, I'm not saying I know something he doesn't know. I'm just talking about his own reporting, and I go, this doesn't make sense based on the things you've told us. I'm not saying that somebody else has told me something different, but when it comes to this Adrian Griffin situation, I've stood by everything I've talked about it because I talked to coaches on staff that were there and lived it. That's why I can tell you definitively there was no mutiny between the entire team and Adrian Griffin. We'll agree that Giannis was the final nail on the coffin, and the difference is Giannis is just a big nail or he's a big hammer, whatever you want to call it. Hey, yo, Giannis just has a louder voice. But the people that thought there was like some big, 8 people in the locker room hated Adrian, that never happened. That never happened. The biggest thing that happened, and again, I'm just glad that Jay Crowder has addressed this. The biggest thing that happened in that locker room was the fact that the holdover Mike Budenholzer coaches were going behind Adrian Griffin's back to talk to Giannis about things he should have been doing and things Bud would have done and all that kind of stuff. And then the funny thing on top of that is Adrian Griffin ends up getting fired. Yeah, I think it was going to happen anyway because Giannis lost confidence. But Adrian Griffin gets fired running Bud's stuff anyway. So he eventually, too much starts happening. He, as a rookie coach, he caves to Giannis, caves to a couple of these other coaches, caves to the front office, and go. And the other thing is he never got full buy-in from the front office, but caves to all of this, then starts running Bud's defense, and it didn't work. So, I mean, you're going to get fired anyway. You might as well get fired running your own stuff. So that was why it was sad. But again, there was never this thing where like everybody was just against Adrian Griffin, this stupid stuff about he couldn't schedule a practice. How stupid does that sound? Do you think the head coach is walking around making all the determinations on like, well, we're going to practice at 7? You have assistants for that kind of stuff. You have like people under you who determine. Again, I say you can't tell people when they're going to practice or what, but you think the head coach, like they were acting like he couldn't get a schedule together. I'm not a head coach. I don't even schedule my own calendar. I ain't got to be, and I'm not the head coach of a National Basketball Association team. So come on, man. Come on, man. You got people that schedule things for you. Like he got to get on the phone. Hey, is the gym open today? Like, we mean can't schedule stuff. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Jay Crowder addressed that. Any thoughts there on Adrian Griffin? And I do agree with him. Bringing in Doc Rivers, not necessarily the firing of Adrian Griffin, but bringing in Doc Rivers definitely started. Now you can make an argument, the termination of Mike Budenholzer, but bringing in Doc definitely started the avalanche, and everything's happened. And the only people I will apologize to are the people who said that Jimmy Haslam was going to ruin the team. I thought he was just a checkbook, but I will say that it is true that ever since the Bucks got Jimmy Haslam bought into Mark Lashley's ownership share, it has gone downhill.
Yeah, I just wonder what the relevance of kind of the timeline in which Jay Crowder's doing this. Is it because he's saying more so the fact that kind of proving our point, like Giannis was behind this and that Giannis is facilitating things within the organization, because on the day that Giannis essentially is ready to be traded, right, quoting Shams, he just comes out and says this when in reality he could have said this a long time ago. So I'm just wondering what the correlation is there. Is it something that he might have against the ownership? Is it something he might have against Giannis for maybe facilitating this move? Or is it something that he has against Doc Rivers, which very well could be the case? So it's just all interesting to me. I wish he would have kind of expanded on why the reason was or what he thought about the situation.
So I try to keep a positive light about Doc as much as possible, primarily because he's a head coach of my beloved Milwaukee Bucks, but also because he's a Marquette guy. And I think Doc Rivers is one of the best coaches in NBA history. I think that most wins as a current NBA head coach proves that. However, see a little bit of Marquette on Marquette crime today with Jay Crowder saying that. And I try to say, and you would think that Jay would have a little bit more loyalty and a little bit to ride for your fellow Golden Eagle. Not saying it should, but I think that speaks even more volumes that Jay came out and said that. And, maybe it is time for Doc to go into that front office. Not even maybe. It's time for Doc. When you got a player like Jay, and from everything that I know about Jay, and I don't know Jay personally or anything else like that, but what I know about Jay, he's very loyal to Marquette. You would see when Jay was on the bench for the games, he would be at the Marquette games, sitting with Wesley Matthews and stuff like that, watching the Golden Eagles play. And to say something like that against one of your fellow alums, and when they go to them basketball meetings, when all the different teams come together and stuff like that, they interact and they cross paths. And Jay just doesn't seem like the bitter guy, because if anything, he should have had a lot more to say about Bud. And he said some stuff, but he didn't say a whole lot. So, hey, man, let's see what Darvin could do to the end of the year, man. And let Doc go off in the front office. Let him play a little bit more golf. Let him help out with some of the decisions and see what he sees from a distance. And maybe we can turn this thing around a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how this how it plays out. Doc Rivers is, like I said, I will say that he has stolen money from an NBA team for the last time. He will never, ever get another head coaching job in the NBA again, and he shouldn't. Couple tweets. Cookie the best 7-Eleven says going on. Never mind. Sorry. Dustin's on tag says he wants to donkey kick Doc Rivers and give him a real reason to do that dumbass stance, I guess. And then he posted the picture where Doc is, he always leaning over all the time. And then let's see, one more at Andy Waba says Andy Wabazewski says I cannot see the sense in trading Giannis. Why trade a top 2 player in the world with a year and a half left on his contract? They're decent with him. The East sucks and won't be much improvement next year. The Bucks aren't way over the second apron. They're not over the first apron either. He says winning is an easy cure for unhappiness, but you have to win. And the Bucks have not won. And 2, not only have they not won, but they haven't shown any propensity to be able to win. And then 3, when you look at it, your issue when you say, how much time Giannis has left on his contract, your issue is you don't want to lose him for nothing. And when you have an opportunity to get some kind of a haul back, I don't think it'll be historic. I don't think it'll be anything crazy. Again, you're going to lose a trade. You're going to lose any trade with Giannis, but you'd rather get something versus nothing. And again, it's a tough state of affairs to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan right now. Appreciate everybody who joined us at Crypto Park. There's a black cat running around the Bucks. It's what it feels like. Dustin says his personal opinion, Giannis will end up in Brooklyn or Atlanta. I just don't see it, as they have the most assets to really facilitate this type of trade. I don't see Brooklyn. I can see Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta's going to do it. I don't see Brooklyn because, again, they're not going to be able to re-sign. I don't think Giannis is going to go there and be like, yeah, I'll re-sign again. I think he does hold some leverage. He does hold some leverage in this. So that's how that goes for him. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. Impromptu. A lot of people in the chat. A lot of people talking to us. Appreciate the super chats. Again, this is just to come through, and again, we're just talking it through. Any other news that breaks, of course, we'll be here. We'll be talking this with you. Again, I somebody asked earlier if putting money on Giannis. Listen, I really don't see it happening before the deadline. I really don't. I went in. It's so funny that when the news broke, so I'd already got in on some of the money. And matter of fact, I cashed out a little bit because I got it on Robinhood, but I cashed out a little bit of money on the Giannis because I'd always had he'll be in Milwaukee past February 6th. And now, of course, before the Sham story broke, the odds were very high that he would still be in Milwaukee. And then all of a sudden, the Sham story breaks, the odds dropped dramatically down to like 40%. So I dipped right back in when it happened and bought a little more. And again, and the crazy thing is it jumped right back up. So again, it's just interesting that's how it's been going. King says, great show. Appreciate it. James Moore says, thanks for the impromptu show. Thanks for providing it. Glad for the impromptu show. Absolutely. We'll be here. Again, we'll be here. Anything happens, we'll be here tomorrow. Oh, God, Bucks got a game tomorrow. We won't probably not as much trade talk, but we will talk about anything developing. And then, of course, the game. Would be nice to beat the Wizards. I don't care who's out there. It'd be nice to go out and beat the Wizards just to get a win, get some good vibes going. But again, appreciate everybody for being with us. Could have been in or what, but you're here with us. Please hit that like button, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell a friend, tell another friend about the Kareem City Cross. It is the best Milwaukee Bucks Postgame Show in all of the land. Bronny James would have dunked. They're down by like 30. Yeah. Dustin Wagner's right. Whatever happens, go Bucks. This has been a Cream City Media Group. That's running group, sir.
Chris King.
Justin.
It's getting hard to pull this out. If I am enemy, it's only because I dare. If I am enemy, it's only